Hello everybody, and what's going on? It is another Tuesday, which means Brood War Weekly is underway. I am Dagger on the microphone, and we are changing things up once again this week as I go into a LoveTV second Starleague recap. And what does that mean? I'm going to take some great games from this past Starleague season casted by LoveTV, but unfortunately we will be muting out her voice because the female voice, on top of it being Korean, on top of it being extremely loud, just makes it incredibly difficult to cast over. It's actually really interesting how it's very easy to talk over a male Korean voice, but a female Korean voice, not so easy. So that means we are going to have to do away with her sound, but I will have some looping Zerg music in the background. So just enjoy that. Thanks to Cecil Sunkshire, who actually showed me this Infinite Looper website. So you can put any YouTube video in there and it'll just infinitely loop it. So easy peasy, that is done. So let's remove this starting very soon from the middle of the screen here. And so we will be mostly doing games from the round of 16 because I wanted to watch a variety of players. And obviously in the round of 16 you've got a total of 16 players that are available in the group stages, and these were really cool group stages. In fact, one of the groups of the round of 16 went into basically overtime, where they had to continually play tiebreaker matches until one of the players would lose 2 games in a row. And so that made it a really exciting group too. And I will jump into kind of reviewing those results. But let's go ahead and watch our first game warm up to the Starleague scene. This is going to be the round of 16 Group D. So let's see if I can bring this up on the screen here. So far so good. Removing the break screen, presenting, casted by. And there we go. That looks like something a little bit more normal here for you guys to watch. Now, I will try and check the chat window. If you guys have any problems, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right into this game, and hopefully you guys can enjoy some Brood War along with me. There we go. The eerie music in the background, I love it. Absolutely love it. I don't know if it's a little bit loud here. Tone it down some. Perfect. Alright guys, I'm very excited to be casting LoveTV to the second Starleague, and this is going to be the round of 16 Group D, piano versus movie. So starting you guys off with the TVP, I hope you are either a Terran or a Protoss fan. I know the majority of you people out there play Zerg. The foreign scene somehow just happens to have this huge spawning pool, might I say, of Zerg players around. But this is going to be on the map Fighting Spirit, which means that spawning at the top right hand corner of this 4-player map, it will be Movie. You know, all around great Protoss player. He's really been a top 3 Protoss player since the end of the Brood War 1 era. Since Kespa disbanded, now we have now we have a new set of players that are going to take their rankings at the top. But Movie, he's been around and he's been good for a long time, ever since his time at CJ. And I'm glad you can appreciate the 4:3 ratio. Thanks to Greg J, who provides these VODs in the small VOD channel, or thread, might I say, on teamliquid.net. So go check out the rest of these groups if you have missed them out. And I know they were just showing the left-hand side of this map, and that is where piano is going to spawn. I almost said like a Spanish version of piano, I guess. I don't know what the Spanish word for piano is like if you're actually looking it up through the dictionary. But I guess I gave it that sort of twang. And it looks like the standard gateway and gas combination to be opening up for Movie. And this is usually where you're going to follow up with that Cybernetics core, go for the range, and get goons early on to apply pressure. It's not anything game-breaking usually. And things get a little bit more interesting if you see the gateway drop down, second gateway drop down pretty early. But I think Movie is such a standard player that we probably won't see like that fast second gateway, and he's probably just gonna try and apply some really good pressure with his goons and take a natural base and go for that macro style game. Now, Piano, on the other hand, he's not known for heavy early game harassment or harassment at all. I generally see him as a pretty strong macro player too. And then once you get into that mid to late game with Piano, it's going to be on what kind of Piano are you going to get. He really has two faces. One is going to be this player who is awesome, looks like he's going to win, and then all of a sudden just throws away the game because for whatever reason he has like 70 Achilles heels. Or he's going to play this great macro game, look like he's in it all the way, and finally actually pull it out. But you can get disappointed being a fan of Piano, and that's why I think most people aren't. Now, you do see that core upgrade is underway, and choosing to spend the gas and the minerals on that Dragoon range before putting down another gateway, and just probing up really hard right now, trying to get as many workers as he can, can't miss a beat. And for the Protoss player, it is completely integral that you do not miss a second, even a half second, on building workers. Now, there are 4 Marines at the front, and it could be this is definitely going to be a siege expand, the add-on finishing up first. And some Terran players really do prefer that bunker on the low ground at the natural base, putting Marines in there and building command center much quickly. But there are advantages of going for that siege expand instead of just the racks expand. Getting that faster siege tech up, the tanks out a little bit quicker, means that you could go for earlier 4-fact pressure. And if you want to go for that game where you have the vultures with the mines out, that allows you to get that availability earlier on. But once you get siege mode, you can secure that natural base anyway. So all around, a nice tech choice for a Terran player if they want to go that route. Now, this looks like a few more Marines than a standard siege expand. When you get up to about 7 Marines, this could be a pretty difficult push to deal with. But that's exactly why you continually pump out those Dragoons. Even off that one gateway, you can still have enough production here where a talented player like Movie can micro perfectly against these Marines and basically whittle down those forces. But a Vulture does come in here, and as soon as that siege mode finishes, in fact, he could have gone for mines first, and I think that's what he did, is he got mines off the bat right there, and that's going to make it harder for Movie to push out. He's going to have to micro against this one single mine, and is he going to be able to do it? It's such a tense moment because as a Protoss player, I've been in this position so many times where it's like, I know if I move just slightly a bit forward, I could target that mine, but if it hits me, I'm going to be really upset. And it looks like even a talented player like Movie, he might have gotten hit a little bit by that mine. The words the numbers are quite hard to see on the shield count there, but it did look like it was depleted. And now the engineering bay is going to be coming up. I guess by getting this engineering bay, Piano can go for defensive turrets if he's worried about the drop. And I don't think that he's putting up an engineering base so that way he can have detection against DTs. That's not something I feel like he's really sensing here, and that's not what Movie is going for. But that is a lot of Dragoons that are out right now. The production has been pretty good. He didn't lose a lot to mines, and a nice pick off on that tank. That's actually a really cool move by Movie, and pulling out right now and not sustaining any more damage means that he can get away with actually doing some nice damage in return for that early aggression that Piano dealt. So now that additional command center is out. The engineering bay, it can move out for scouting. It provides some nice vision for siege tanks if you decide not to use your barracks to kind of float out there and do the vision checking. And in fact, it's just going to float across the map for, I guess, scouting at the natural possibly, or maybe Piano was just kind of moving it to rearrange his base. And you know, if you're a Terran player, when you're first learning how to play StarCraft 1, it is really frustrating to figure out how to place your buildings, because some buildings have permanence, like your supply depots, your add-ons, your ComSat station. You know, all those buildings, they don't take up a huge amount of room, but you really have to plan out where you want to row them up, where you want to line them up. And I see even professional players to this day put buildings in a wrong spot, and it kind of messes them up. It's less noticeable unless you go back and watch some replays, and then you can catch really a lot of the faux pas that sometimes Terran players make in the background. So that's always something to think about, and I don't think that's iterated enough when people listen to casts about Terran. It's just it really is difficult, and I do sympathize with you guys for having all these static buildings that you have to deal with. Meanwhile, Protoss, I mean, you build a bunch of pylons and gateways. It does get frustrating too on that end, because Dragoons can get caught if you put your gateways in the wrong position. And sometimes I bet they wish they could just lift their gateway up, but nope, you end up having to kill it if you want to have decent macro. Only 150 minerals though. Now, a third base is going to be coming up for a movie, and you do have the advantage as a Protoss player of getting that faster third base and possibly getting away without sustaining any damage. Sometimes these vultures here that are trying to sneak out can get to that third before you can pylon off those ramps, and they can get up there and take shots at your probes. But getting this third base is very integral, especially to Movie's play, because he tends to go for that 3-base Arbiter style on Fighting Spirit. I don't think that he goes for carriers often on Fighting Spirit. If my memory serves me correct, I don't remember the last time I've seen him go for that build on Fighting Spirit. So he does have the Reavers out. There is a shuttle, and that will provide some harassing opportunity against Piano, who did build that engineering bay earlier on, but I don't like the lack of turrets. And I know that he has 2 on the high ground inside of that main base from what we gathered. He might have 3 if I missed it, but you can also put 1 on the low ground towards the front, where this wide bridge here is, a little bit more up towards the left where it starts to get to that cliff. Building 1 on the low ground is kind of nice too. And there you go. See, it's actually building a missile turret. So I promise you, I haven't seen this particular match. So I mean, that was just after watching so many games, being in sync with the Terran play. So the advantage of having that turret out is to prevent those zealot drops. You really don't want to be subjective to that. And it can also deal with the unfortunate chance that a DT does walk in there and get a bunch of free shots. Ain't gonna happen, because even with the turret so far back, it still will detect anything invisible before the units can get within melee range of the tanks and not get hit by that siege mode. So a lot of vultures are coming in here, and this is a mistake by Movie to not build a third pylon on that ramp. And look at that, a mine on top. There was a Dragoon there to defend, but that wasn't much. Okay, so Movie does follow up with the third pylon, realizing, okay, so maybe that was a little bit stupid of him, and he acknowledged it, and he built that extra pylon instead of being completely cheap. So now there's 1 Stargate here, and 1 Stargate is great. He is getting the Templar archives, which will lead to that Arbiter tech, but we're looking at an 11-minute, almost 12-minute game, almost 11.5-minute game here. And when you think about the time that it takes for an Arbiter to get built, sometimes off this 3-base economy, I like when you're unharassed like Movie to get a second Stargate out. You need to get those Arbiters very quickly, because then you can really take advantage of punishing your opponent. And with just that 1 Stargate, he might not have that critical number that the Protoss player will like. But his macro is just completely insane right now. You can see how much spread he's had on the map. He's denying this third base from mining even longer. And a nice sweeping group of zealots coming from the left. And Dragoons will be backing it up to reinforce. So Piano's in a lot of trouble here. He's got himself sandwiched in at this, between the 3 and the natural, or between the 12 o'clock and the natural. And now it looks like the vultures are going to have to flee back up to the top high ground there. There's just a defending bunker, but it's been emptied out because the Marines had to pull out and help defend towards the top area. Now another set of zealots are going to be driven in from behind. And so maybe just Movie won't even need a second Stargate or Arbiters to come into play here. The combat stations still do remain, but they will not be very useful anyway, because the Arbiters haven't even had time to come in here and help Movie's attack. He's been able to do all this stuff with just the basic gateway composition. And I got 100% blame the tank positioning of Piano. If we went back and we looked at this replay and said, what did he do wrong? It's the way he positioned those groups of siege tanks, because generally you can see that third be defended pretty easily against units that are even on the high ground. You use that third command center that's scouting at the top to come in and position himself in such a way that you can't get hit from the high ground very easily with Dragoons. You have to almost put yourself down the ramp. But Piano, he took that engagement pretty poorly for someone who's probably played this map more times than we could ever imagine. Movie just completely stomped him right there. And now the economy is only going to be getting greater here. And not coming in with the shuttle. And this shuttle's going to be able to just reign supreme here without any of the turrets available. Movie was just on top of making sure those turrets got taken down before he got pushed back out of the base. So there is no anti-air. And in fact, the Goliaths that were there got picked off too. Especially with adding that third pylon at the third base. At the 3 o'clock position, a lot of threes here. Movie has just basically secured himself from being able to be harassed at all. And now it looks like Piano was able to come back and just kind of calm the area. And it was pretty impressive that he was able to hang on as far as he did. But now it looks like we're going to have more Zealot drops here. A Reaver, is it going to get any more shots off? A pretty good job, and I think the Reaver's still alive. This is just incredible. So the Reaver is actually going to be able to participate in killing off 3 tanks. And now that third tank does go down. The Reaver's still alive inside of that shuttle. Movie's got to be feeling like a boss right now. Observer is finally coming in. A little bit late to bring that Observer over. I would have liked him to bring in, okay, now we saw that Observer die to the turret again. And sometimes when you're microing so hard, all you want to do is just let your Observer, just click it into a convenient spot and hope that it stays alive. And now the Arbiter is going to come in at this time too. So what I was saying is, like, your Arbiter dies very quickly to turrets, it dies very quickly to Goliaths, which makes it all the more frustrating when you have to micro heavily against your opponent and you can't just take care of every little thing. Even the pro players get exhausted. But that's a pretty good game 1 of the night. So that is the round of 16 Group D, Piano versus Movie. I'm going to take a quick water break. And then we will watch. What do we got here? Oh, it looks like that restarted, I guess. Whoa, it brought me to Fantasy versus Jongbi. That's hilarious. Okay, we're going to be watching Group C's Modesty versus Ample next. This is going to be a ZVT.
제동님 어서 오세요.
Oh, poor LoveTV, I muted you again. And here we are, guys, in the round of 16 Group C, Modesty versus Ample. This is LoveTV's number 2 Starleague. Not the first one, the second one. And the second one is always bound to bring greatness. I'm very excited to be casting this for you guys today. I am BSuDagger on the microphone. And this is going to be Modesty versus Ample. If you guys aren't aware, tomorrow it's going to be Modesty versus Killer. Killer, the mini dong, gonna be just outrageously crazy Zerg tomorrow versus Modesty, who somehow has figured out how to make Hive Tech completely viable against Terran, the greatest monster in the world. And you know what? We have I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, guys, but we might have an opportunity to see Hive Tech Zerg against Killer tomorrow. Modesty is so good at it. Just imagine. And now I did a little bit of a preview for Team Liquid's community threads. And if you look in that, I referenced the PD Pop MSL from 2011, and that was a finals with Hydra versus Great. And Great was a person who said, I am going to pioneer Hive Tech Zerg. Although I think we were all a little bit disappointed with how much Hive Tech Zerg was actually in the finals. I don't even know if even one of the games got the Hive Tech, or were they all pretty standard ZVZs. But either way, Hydra winning, that was pretty huge. And it was cool to see another CJ Entis Zerg come out from the woodwork and dominate an MSL. While Effort, I'm pretty sure he won the OSL versus Flash. Still, big individual leagues, whether it's MSL or OSL. We all got excited for either one of them. Now here we do have the bottom left location of Neoelectric Circuit. It is going to be the Terran player Ample, who is already going for that command center pretty quickly here. Meanwhile, Modesty is going to be at that top left location at the 11 o'clock, and he has his natural underway too. And it looks like he did go for that hatch first build. This is going to be a 12 hatch. And usually the spawning pool and the extractor come down pretty quickly, but oh, this is interesting, guys. So generally you can get away with that pretty quick third hatchery at that mineral only, but you can take 3 hatcheries anyway. As a Zerg player in ZVT, you usually take a third out of gas. So what I'm getting from this is it could be a really early Ling style build attack. And maybe Modesty is just trying to get very aggressive here, and it could punish Ample too. Going for that command center so quickly is going to weaken his defenses. I definitely feel that a bunker should be placed at that natural. It looks like a second barracks is going to be coming down for Ample, which is good. Taking that extra barracks, generally Terran goes bio. At least that's the meta these days. I don't know how many of you guys have seen a ZVT that has gone mech first. Bio is just like, it is such a solid opening anyway. And as long as you can deal with that muta harassment that most of the Zerg players try and come at you with, then staying with bio early on allows you a lot of mobility and a lot of harassment opportunities. Going for mech only allows you to macro up really hard and take bases quicker. And I don't know that many Terran players like to play that passive. I'm loving Terran these days because a lot of the games that we watch aren't 40-minute games, aren't layback turtle games. And we're in the era that we're past Flash. We're past his nonsense. And a lot of people who were even KT fans got tired of Flash's play or didn't like him. And I don't want to misquote, but I think that Blind Rar is not a fan of Flash but a fan of KT, mainly because he's a perfect player. He's perfect at winning, but he's not the perfect player to watch. Fantasy is a sick Terran player to watch. But even his style is a little bit different too, and his ZVT was kind of insane. Sometimes great, but sometimes just sickening to watch. And I mean that in the most horrible way possible. So Modesty, he does have that spawning pool down. He was mining gas, 3 drones inside of that main base, and generally this is going to be a lair tech build. And now he does have 3 drones at that extractor at his natural too. The Spire is underway, so this still could play into his 3 base. What I casted last week was that Modesty goes for a 3 base Greater Spire play and takes his mutas, and then eventually transitions those mutas into the Devourers and Guardians and adds in Scourge. But the problem here with this particular map And what Modesty did is his third base isn't at a gas location. And that's the Modesty build, is when he can build that hatchery at a gas location. So now we're watching the Modesty build modified, where he takes a mineral only. And how badly will this affect his build? I mean, it has even Modesty calculated the devastation that could happen to going for the Modesty build without that third extractor. Because what are you going to do? Build a bunch of Zerglings to compensate for all the air that you're not going to have? And now this harassment is definitely something that he is going to have to deal with. The medics and Marines are stepping right in, and it seems like a severe lack of units over here to keep these to keep this base alive. And that was horrible. Only 2 sunken colonies with the scouting that that Modesty had. He didn't build enough sunken colonies, and in fact the damage to these Marines just wasn't quite enough, starting a really late speed upgrade. And now the mutas are out. It's going to come to, you know, when you only have a few mutas, they almost don't micro very well. And now he's just going to have to take these down very quickly. And what is Ample going to do? Is he going to target down that spawning pool first, or is he going to try and go after the hive? But either way, I think he should have taken down the spawning pool. I mean, if anything, he targets that down, and then when the mutas come in, he retargets to the mutas, and that would have been a really good idea there. But then he just didn't get anything done. The drones were pulled, and he didn't chase the drones either. So while mining time was lost, Modesty actually came away fairly unscathed for the harassment that he just had to deal with. And now he's got the mutas posing a huge threat here. And the problem with losing all those units when you push out as Ample, not doing the damage that you need to do, is that he's missing all of them to defend back at home and has to compensate with turrets. And just to answer the question here, did Flash tend to go mech in TVZ? Flash could do both. That's the deal. Flash did mech a lot, but Flash could go bio at any point. And that's why he was one of the scariest Terran players, because it really didn't matter. He almost knew just every matchup so well that he would just choose right before the game, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. They're probably not expecting it because I just mech'd 20 games in a row. And that's why he has such a flawless TVZ record. And the record maybe of most Zerg wins in a row, I know I Love Uv had like 21, but I think Flash got up to like 28. Something crazy like that. And while people were busy like, oh my god, Flash TVP is so great, his TVZ was actually better. And that's just my opinion. And Young H821, hello and welcome. And welcome to the cast of This is the LoveTV Starleague number 2. Round of 16, Group C, Modesty versus Ample. We're watching the recap here, and it looks like Ample kind of survived that early harassment here, is throwing up a few more barracks, and has a starport out also. Now the mutas are constantly harassing, but the thing is, Modesty needs to make sure he keeps the mutas alive and keeps Ample inside of his base. Not taking an additional hatchery yet either. Okay, it looks like he finally did. He took the hatchery at the 12 o'clock. There is going to be a gas there, so that's going to be good for him. But he's going for Lurker Aspect. And Lurker Aspect is a variation here. And what we saw last week with Modesty is that he is very good at taking his build, the Modesty build, which is that 3 base Greater Spire, and modifying it based on the amount of production that the Terran player is going to go for. Because if they go for a fast 6 racks or 5 racks, then you absolutely need those lurkers to help contain your opponent or to help defend at your different base locations. So this is going to be a heavy push out. He does have the science vessels with his army on the way, and now it's going to come down to these lurkers in combination with the mutas to make sure he can fight back these forces. Another starport is coming down now too, and I wonder if he's going to just go with double science vessels. And science vessels are great. Once you get a radiate out, it can shut down mutas pretty efficiently. The thing that we've seen for Modesty though is he finds ways to get scorched just like that. Bam! That science vessel just popped right out of right out of the universe, and It just lived out a poor, sad life. And Ampo is going to be forced to reroute his forces, try and find that different stabbing point, coming in from the right side of the map, approaching that 12 o'clock. But Modesty is doing really well right now, relocating his lurkers, understanding that Ampo is trying to find a new location here. But he's coming into that choke point, and I think that's a huge mistake because he wasn't able to bring those 3 lurkers behind up to the front. But Lings are going to be coming from the right and left side simultaneously. Great moves by Modesty. Ample's getting pushed to the side even more and more. And now mutas are coming in, but actually that was really bad because those were 4 mutas now that could have been Devourers or Guardians later in this game had he kept them alive. So Ample managed to barely hold on there. Hive Tech is on its way too. And it's going to be some time before the Hive will finish up. It takes actually several minutes to get that Hive Tech. Like anything in the late game for Zerg, it just takes an absolute astronomical time to build compared to those lair and earlier type units and upgrades. Now these lurkers are managing to still stay alive. There's no medics with it. Oh wow, okay, so as I say that, the medics do come to the tea party here, and they're gonna just buffer up those suits and make the boys in the middle of the map just feel so much better. Their spa treatment is going to be going down. Now, not quite that many Marines here, but a third base is being taken up here with a lot of SCVs over at that mineral only. Meanwhile, a 4th command center is going to be floated over to that 12 once it does finish up, and that's going to mean Ample's going to have a pretty solid economy here. Now, the upgrade situation is +2 attack for the Marines, so they will be able to kill things off pretty quickly. But Marines, I think if you get +1 armor, can actually take an extra shot from the lurker attack. Regardless, I just love +1 armor on Marines. It's a really quick upgrade to take, and it's entirely worth it. I know you number crunchers are just like, well, what if I want this gas here, and if I didn't build this, get this upgrade, I could have had 1 more Science Vessel. But honestly, you're going to lose that Science Vessel. Modesty's really good with the Scourge, and then you're going to feel like you just wasted money. It's like test driving that new Mustang, and once you get it off the lot, you hit the gas too hard and run into a tree, and then your car's ruined anyway. And you could have just taken that money and made a down payment on your house. So, I don't know where that metaphor was going, so we're going to return to this attack here as Ample moves forward with his Marines to that 12 o'clock location where there's absolutely 0 defenses. The drones do try and run away, and that was just a death train right there, as it looks like the hatchery will get taken out too. And now this top right location, Ample's just all over the place. His macro is getting quite ridiculous. Just total map control as a Terran player, and this is not generally the Modesty that we're used to seeing, who can just come out with massive amounts of contains, and this did not go the way he wanted to. And I am going to completely blame the fact that he took a third where there was no gas. You honestly can't go for the builds that he wanted to, and then he didn't build Lings. When you have that mineral only, you gotta use things that are mineral only. Use those cheap units to come out early on and help defend. And so now it looks like this is going to be the last attempt to save his base. The Scourge do come in here and take out another Science Vessel. There's still no Dark Swarm. He didn't have the time, and GG. It looks like Ample has cleaned things up on this map, Neo-Electric Circuit. And that will be the end of Group C's Modesty versus Ample round of 16. That is the first of 2 games that they play. There is a tiebreaker in this group, a Modesty vs. Ample rematch. I casted that one, I think, last week, and if I didn't, then go ahead and watch it on your own with LoveTV's voiceover, because it is a really cool example of how the Modesty build works when he plays it out perfectly, and it's on a map that's not this one. So, quick water break. Then, what do we have next? Looks like round of 16 Group A 0 versus Mini. We're going to be watching ZVP, so hold on to your hats as I prepare for the next game. Alright, hello everybody, this is LoveTV Starleague number 2 in the round of 16 Group A, Zero versus Mini. And guys, I know I'm casting on a Tuesday, and it's just the start of the work week still. You're just all getting past a horrible Monday and thinking, how can I get to Friday? But as your day has ended, and in Europe it's getting even closer to just the next morning on a Wednesday, wake up! It's Brood War, guys. It is Brood War. We are on Neo Electric Circuit. It is Zero versus Mini, a ZVP. Come on. Where are your hearts? Where is your passion? Wear it on your sleeves right now, because tomorrow there is a finals, a ZVZ, 2 epic Zerg players right now. Modesty, Killer. It's going to be happening. It's with the LoveTV Starleague, and I want to know that you guys are going to go in there and just cheer on with passion. Make the LoveTV Starleague LR something that we've never seen before, especially for just a ZVZ matchup. And now we are going to be going into this game. Let me cast it. Let me get out of this excitement mode into more of the caster mode here, as we look at Mini, who is spawning at that bottom right hand corner. Does have a probe going over to the Zerg base. Zero. Now, we all know Zero. He's one of our favorite, and clearly a top Zerg player from the first era. But how much has he shown us since he's come back onto the scene? I think that Zero is kind of mediocre. As far as casting tomorrow, I cannot. I will be at work. But it's definitely a possibility that I will put a rebroadcast in English later that day. I'm going to have to figure out my schedule. Not 100% certain, but I would like to cast the finals the day of. So if not, I'll try and recap it for you guys and get something interesting for you to read on Team Liquid, even if I can't cast it. Try and throw as much content as much as possible towards you guys as I can, whether it's visual, audio, reading, just overload your senses with Brood War. As I can tell you guys, a storm is coming, a big storm, an awesome, not a zombie storm, but better, and you guys will thoroughly enjoy what is coming to you in the Brood War world. From Sonic's side of things, from who is it? Big File is getting ready to do another tournament. The All-Stars is coming up, though. I mean, that's awesome. That's starting tomorrow, but focus on the finals first. Show LoveTV Starleague your love, because she casts her heart out too. We got to appreciate all the people, not just the big dog Sonic. And look at this great harassment here. The pro managing to continue to just keep this drone from getting down, and Zero is having problems as he has 0 hatchery inside of his natural base. But he did send a drone immediately over as he realized that his hatchery was going to be late to that mineral only. So Zero will be on 3 bases soon enough, but at least he does have that second hatchery building at the mineral only. So that will help him out. I'm not sure that Zero even has a build. I'm not sure that he is on the same level as Modesty right now. And Modesty has pretty decent ZVP also. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to be taken. Oh my goodness, a gateway's dropped down now. This is great. Mini, though, is actually one of the best PvZers on the scene. And, I mean, I know that he didn't make it to the round of 4. He's not in the finals or anything for that matter. But this is really weird. Absolutely weird, in fact, that Zero just dropped down a hatchery not towards the center of that base, realizing that he just needs a 3rd base finished to be able to add to the larva count. Now, seeing that a gateway was dropped down inside of his in his natural base lets him know that this isn't going to be the standard play for a Protoss player, that he may be behind on units, or he may have just one less gateway to defend with this. So the Lings do get inside. They are throwing down harassment. It is kind of a pain not having a ranged unit such as a Dragoon to deal with this, and ultimately the Zealot is going to completely get winded. And I think that these Lings, they don't have a chance of making it out. There's a cannon there that will get the shots off, but Zero doesn't even need those Lings to escape. Now, it looks like the gateway still might be existing at that natural base. Okay, it looks like it was finally cleaned up by those 4 Lings. And that Zealot will get picked off. It takes 3 Lings to take out 1 Zealot effectively here. I'm pretty sure that no matter how good your micro is, 1 Zealot just standing still will end up killing off 2 Lings. But a cannon does finish up inside of that main base, so Mini will be secure again. Going for that Forge Expand type build does make him pretty secure from anything else coming in. He was just slightly delayed there. And I don't remember what notable players that Mini beat, but by all means, Mini was a pretty darn good StarCraft player. I'm going to see if I can look up his stats right now, because it would be pretty interesting to find out. Let's see here. Let's go for Mini. And I don't even know what his best placement was in leagues. But it looks like he ended with a Kespa rank of 16 and an ELO rank of 47. So just only barely scratching the surface of the top 50 players before Brood War did end. And what was he? I think Mini played for STX. Yeah, he was at STX Protoss. I guess that's up on the screen. That's a little bit more obvious. But he had 28 wins and 38 losses. And so that's very unimpressive. But enough about breaking down his record here. Let's see what else is going on in the ZVP. Things are going to start to ramp up and become a little bit more interesting here as we see Zero take an additional base at the 9 o'clock position. Oh, well, at least it looks like he sent a unit over there to take the 9 o'clock. And now he's going to have a total of 4 bases that he can mine from. It's important that he does take that 4th base anyway, because he needs that additional gas mining base. And that Zealot is just completely an annoyance here. And he might be able to take out... Nope. I thought he was going to get one more drone there, but the Zealots do come in and just squander the harassment. So the Hydralisk Den is down, and even if you're going to go for a 5-hatch play with Hydras to bust down your opponent, you absolutely need to get that 3rd base of gas, because it will be important later on when you want to transition out of Hydras and want to go into that Lurker aspect. Lurkers are pretty good units with the control of where you want the Protoss player to be and where you expect him to attack. One thing I foresee here, though, is that double Stargate hasn't really been detected. And if a lot of these Corsairs can get out on the map and stay hidden, then I think that Mini could catch Zero off guard and possibly take this game just by pure air control, air superiority. And while in StarCraft 1 the Corsair cannot lift up ground units and attack them, it doesn't have that same ability as the Phoenix. They take down air units so quickly, and they actually have pretty high survivability here too. It's hard for these Hydralisks to just kill them up. They have pretty decent speed also. So it looks like the Corsairs are going to have to run away from these Scourge, but taking in a few Overlords first. It looks like Zero's decided that he will be going for this 5-hatch Hydralisk play, or he might have 6. He has 4 bases, an additional hatchery inside of his natural base, and I'm not sure if he has one more hatchery behind this. But this is definitely the killing blow that Zero's going to be going for right here. And the fact that that wasn't blocked off, if these Lings can get behind the Zealots, then there's going to be a lot of trouble here. But no, they actually are blocked. They aren't able to get inside. Now DT would be very crucial here, dropping down one more cannon. And it looks like the Zealot speed is just about to finish up. It's going to be very important. Is he going to take out this Forge before the... I think he got it. Did he get it? The mouse was... Got it. So it looks like these Zealots are not going to have that +1 attack. That's incredibly bad for Mini, who's going to have to deal with this ongoing Hydralisk attack here. And he calls GG. Oh, man. Can you believe this game? I honestly believe that game came down to the blocking of that upgrade. +1 would have been so huge. Also, getting faster DTs would have been kind of nice, but Let me get some water real quick. And then we will go into Sea versus Snow, a TVP from Group A on the map Circuit Breaker. This is the round of 16. I will be right back. Hello everybody, this is Dagger, and we are going into LoveTV Starleague's number 2 tournament and the round 16 Group A, Sea versus Snow. Now, we have been watching a lot of the round 16, and the reason why we are watching round of 16 games is because I wanted to show you the variety of players that were going into this Star League, which shows you the level of talent and the player pool that Star League provided for you guys. Now, for you guys, I want to tell you, tomorrow it is going to be a ZVZ between Killer and Modesty, and I think this is a must-see. These two players are so creative, so inventive, and Killer it's not that he's creative as much as that he is just surgical about the way he plays ZVZ. He just plays it so perfectly. And then Modesty, on the other hand, he is the one who really takes it from not just pure finesse, but to being adaptive, being able to understand where he is in the game and analyzing his opponent and searching for a different way to, exploit a weakness that his opponent has. So can raw skill and surgical talent versus, creativity and the ability to find weakness, who is going to kind of win in that mental battle, that matchup there between these two players. But right now, above us, we have the match going on, Sea versus Snow, a TVP on the map Circuit Breaker, a 4-player map, and on the bottom right here, we're going to have our Protoss player Snow. Meanwhile, Sea is going to be spawning at the top right at this 1 o'clock position. He is going for that refinery. There's no command center yet, and this looks to be a siege expand type build without me focusing on much else on the map, and this is going to be a standard core play to get that range out and the goons to attack C. And I think that Circuit Breaker can open up to a carrier type map. Are we going to see carriers? It's definitely a possibility. Snow's a very creative Protoss player. While he never made it, he was never, in my opinion, a consistently... He was never a top 5 Protoss player. Sometimes he would peak in the top, like where he could play against the top 5. But really, he was at best a top 10 Protoss player in the first era of Brood War. You know, Kesp was gone in a way now, and Snow is back on the scene. And while he's still kind of like, he's that middle ground guy. He can show you some really good games. And in fact, he's just so famous for his PVZ against Jaedong. And what was it, the MSL? A great best of 3 series that he had right there. So it's not like he's unknown, but kind of like Mini. Just never was able to have a time period where he could be like Cal or Cal or Stork or Bisu or Zhongbi. You know, those 4 guys were just way too good. And then the 5th player just kind of alternated in there as who would be a top Protoss player. I think Movie was in there at some point. In fact, Harangue 2 kind of dipped in and out of a top 5 Protoss player. Also a CJ Protoss player. I know that you guys love Harangue 2. I had my issues with him, but those are personal. I'm not going to cause any of those issues on the stream here. But he's definitely a crazy guy. And so if you guys enjoy watching Harangue 2, then the best of you. I support all Protoss in all Protoss ways. Now it looks like a natural will be taken pretty soon here, and you have to take a Nexus unless you want to just go all in off of one base as a Protoss player. And now mines are coming out first. This is very similar to what we saw earlier in the TVP that we were watching, and that was the Ample versus Movie. Was the first one, but Movie played really well, and he dealt with the mines and just completely squashed any of that early biomech push. It's hard to believe that was only an hour ago, but my mind just deteriorates over time, and I can't remember things a half hour ago during the work week. That's the way things go, unfortunately. I'm using too much brain power on C++, guys. These pointers are ridiculous. I learned something new that I didn't know for 7 years today. I mean, how crazy is that? So, the command center is going to be finishing up inside that natural eventually. No harassment done on either side. And when you have vultures with spider mines coming out early, you know what this did? The fast vultures with those spider mines, you know what it did? It allowed him to skip building a bunker, and it allowed him to skip having to repair that said bunker. What a money saver. I actually think that's really cool, and I never put that together in my head until now. Why don't more people go with vultures, with the vulture opening? Because not only is this brilliant by C to get vultures inside and be able to harass with them and put spider mines down and make the life more difficult for Snow, but he's also able to take a natural base without being harassed. And I know that there's certain openings that can counter that, but the standard opening for a Protoss player, they're not going to have observing. And unless their Dragoon micro is perfect, you can actually spider mine expand. And so I'm going to be diving into this a little bit more later today, because that is just way too cool. And I hope you guys can appreciate the level of play that we're seeing from C right now with that kind of opening. In fact, I think if you guys suck at StarCraft, that spider mine opening should be the only way that you should go, because you can defend on top of your base, you can keep the Marines at the top, and then you can expand pretty safely. You don't have to micro mines, they go off on their own. You don't have to micro SCVs and pull enough to make sure you're repairing the bunker fast enough. It's absolutely stupid how easy it is for you guys. Everybody should switch over to Terran. That's D ranked or lower. Come on. So a third command center is coming up inside of that main base. And the Dragoons are out to finally apply pressure here. But it's going to be siege tanks behind spider mines. And that's going to make things relatively nice for C, because he has a nice location here to defend. But here comes a group of zealots inside of that shuttle. This is not DT drop, this is pure zealot drop here, and not a lot to help reinforce this defense. Just those few Marines, and if those Marines die, you know, then there's gonna be some issues here. Whoa! Whoa, Snow! Snow just messed up so bad. He flew directly into those Marines. I'm sorry, that's like the most facepalm moment. It's like you're flying your shuttle in. You see air attacking units. You see a static air defense building. And yet, let's power through, guys. I believe it this time. I believe that those zealots, that shuttle is gonna just like, I must have a magical shield battery somewhere. I'm gonna get those zealots in, and they're gonna drop on the siege tanks. I'm sorry, no, that didn't happen. Snow, you need to go. You know, you need to go back into your home, and you know, that was just unfortunate for him. As a Protoss player, that hurt a little bit to watch. And C has his third command center done, and scouting with an engineering bay towards the bottom. Just going to see kind of what things are going on. And now, just now, well, I guess we're at the 9-minute mark, but a third Nexus is coming up and underway. Now, when we were watching movies, TVP, Movie got his Stargate at the 11-minute mark. And that's what I want to see from Snow, is how late it's going to be before he decides to get his Stargate and his Templar tech. He got both those buildings by 11 minutes and 15 seconds. So I guess my memory is coming back to me a little bit more here. Meanwhile, a patrolling shuttle that seems that it's not going to be able to get quite inside of there. And C will persist in a defense. I like that I'm continuing to play Zerg music in the background too, when this is a TVP, but don't be confused. The infested Terrans are planted all over this map. And once every 1,000 games played, an infested Terran will blow up in your base. That would be the most ridiculous thing ever. But anything to get more infested Terrans in a StarCraft game. I can't remember the map, but probably like Dante's Peak or something was the last time that we saw infested Terrans. One of the older maps. So here there is another base taken. So the immediate third that you can take is a mineral only base to take, but very easy to hold on to as a Terran player. You can easily move your siege line over and cover that surface area that the third command center allows you to occupy. Now here we are looking at 10 minutes and 51 seconds, a faster Stargate. The Arbiter Tribunal is already out, and Arbiter's on the way. So here's the difference. Movie went for a faster Nexus, third Nexus, went heavier in Gateway, and was able to pull out from that bit a really decent Gateway army that controlled the area and harassed his opponent. Now we're looking at a medium-sized to mediocre-looking army by Snow, who sacrificed getting Gateway units out in a quicker economy to get that faster Stargate and Arbiter out. Is that going to pay off against someone who's a macro beast like C? It doesn't look so good so far. But the Arbiter is on its way. That's the thing. You should be done by now and floating to the rescue of the Protoss player. And now these drops here. DT does come out. One DT, and he immediately picks it up, just trying to burn through those scans. And then that turret finishing up is actually a pretty big deal. He's going to kind of want to take that out. Now, is he going to... He's actually taking a few shots on his Arbiter, but was able to finish off killing the turret here. And now the Arbiter has that air-to-ground, weak attack, But, you know, slapping something is better than not doing anything at all. Something is always better than nothing. That's the perfect motto, isn't it? So, with brute force and stupidity, C is going to push forward with his tanks. Meanwhile, the Dragoons are trying to get back on that high ground. That it seemed like Snow pulling his units back to not stay on that high ground was a little bit of a mistake, but he is going to be getting back in here quickly enough anyway, and C's going to lose his army so quickly here. Sniping everything down. The Arbiter vision is... Our Arbiter cloaking is going to be really good for him right now, as scans were burned on that DT, and I'm not quite certain how many more scans are going to be left for C. Now, he does have the Vultures coming in here to attack that 6 o'clock base, and C is just famous for ZVPs going down to the split map scenario, and the 6 and the 12 just being constantly torn apart. And as you all know, my favorite player, Bisu, played C on Circuit Breaker, and one of the, you know, the ultimate group of death. Jaedong, Flash, Bisu, C. And in that group of death, C was spawning at that bottom right-hand corner, Bisu at the bottom left. And right here where we're looking now was non-stop aggression from both players, as eventually Bisu would go on to win that game, GG. And so now we're looking at another opportunity here for Snow to remind C of how painful it is to be a Terran player when Protoss is playing as dominant as they can. A lot of Dragoons on the map. I like the choice of constantly staying with the Dragoons. While Zealots are very useful, you don't need a high number of them. You just need to play them out very well. And Snow has been doing that pretty good. He's been using them for drop only. They don't need to buffer too much of attack. The thing is that that there's not like this. Zealots are very useful in ZVP because there's Zerglings are a heavy aggressive melee unit. While Vultures can be quick and they can get in there and they can just pop off a lot of shots on Dragoons, Zealots aren't necessarily needed to wipe down that Vulture force the same way Zealots are needed against Zerglings. So going for a heavy Dragoon army is the right path. Now, adding in High Templar, that could be something very useful too. But there's a lot of spider mines up in that area that the Arbiter was flying over, and you know, Snow fans can only hope that he doesn't march across that valley of mines, because that would be pretty painful here. And in fact, it looks like he's going to have goons that are leading the way, but yes, the Observer does put himself in the right location, and this could be a possible recall here. And exactly what I suspected, a nice recall, including bringing the shuttle over here. But the problem is, whenever you recall to the 6 or 12, is that you're recalling yourself to the low ground and allowing the Terran to respawn to put themselves on the high ground. Massive repair on that command center, making it live a little bit longer than I suspected. It got so low in health and then had just a quick repair surge. But unfortunately, it does fall down for C, and he's got himself in a predicament where he's down one gas base. That's gonna hurt the production of factory units. But the thing is C already has a really strong army. He's probably getting close to 200 at this time anyway, and being able to consistently macro out from those factories. Eventually, he's gonna run low on the minerals and gas in his first two bases. But for now, he can push out one more time once he reaches that critical 200 mass. And so Snow is still going to have to deal with it. Taking out, eliminating that 12 o'clock base isn't going to be the home run move for him in this game, but it's definitely going to get him closer. This is a really good job by Snow, is being active with that Arbiter. Just poking around, where's the next best location to make my opponent absolutely hate me for what I'm doing with my constant aggression here. And, okay, well, it looks like C, maybe that was the killer blow. And that's going to be the end of the game. C just got absolutely rocked. And that he actually ended up forfeiting this group when it went into the tiebreakers. So, that being said, I just don't think his heart was in it. And I almost feel a little bit dirty for showing C in this one, because he doesn't deserve the show. But Snow does. Absolutely. So seeing Snow play that game, very good for him. And that's your TVP for you there. And we can all hope that C gets better. He is a former Liquid player, if you guys didn't know. That's what's up. Alright. What I want to do here is conclude my hype portion of this cast with a ZVZ. But this is not the ZVZ you're expecting. That's going to happen tomorrow. I don't want to show any of Modesty and Killer versus each other ZVZ or their ZVZs that they played against other people. But let me tell you, Killer has a perfect, almost perfect record in ZVZs. I think he may have lost one ZVZ so far. And Tio Pajama won. Thank you so much for saying you love me, and I love you too. This is a pleasure to have you here in this cast. So, right now, I already took my water while I was talking. I almost have like an IV situation going, so I can continue to hydrate while I cast here. Less breaks means more Brood War, and we love more Brood War here. So, guys, LoveTV Starleague number 2, round of 16, Group B, By Hero versus Larva. Almost said Group Beer. I think I'm developing a drinking problem, but I'm not quite there yet. You know what, though? We've got another hour of stuff, of content I can go for with you guys. I can hang out till 8. Totally bring on the drinking if we want to. So it looks like we will have By Hero. Yes, the STX player going to be spawning at the bottom left-hand corner, and we did not need her voice. Done. And then we're going to have a Larva spawning at the top right, the 2 o'clock position. This is going to be on Athena 2. And one of the maps that I'm still less familiar with. I really need to investigate games that happen on Athena 2. If any of you guys in the chat know more about, you know, the different matchups of Athena 2, just share what you like here. Now, is this a map that Zerg players tend to like? If you're a Zerg, Protoss, or Terran player, would you choose this map to play on if it was in your map pool? I'm curious about that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and look up the map anyway. Let's see. Go to the Korean Index here, the Brood War professional database. If you guys don't know about TLPD, then you're obviously missing out on an important part of life. And I'll call out what these players are doing pretty soon here. Looks like a 9 pull for By Hero. Just going to say that off the bat here. Looks like a 9 pull. And Athena. Now this is Athena 2. What's the difference between Athena 1 and Athena 2? Yeah, very interesting here. And let's see. Oh, it doesn't show you the number of downloads. I thought it would. That would be interesting. Okay. Now we're going to click on Athena. It looks like 9 pull speed versus 12 pull. Okay, look at this. TVZ, 5 wins, 4 losses. Terrans have a 55% win rate against Zerg. Zerg has a 0% win rate against Protoss with a 0-1 record. And then a 7 wins, 4 losses record for PvT. Protoss wins 63% of the time against Terran. Not a huge amount of stats, but it says this was used in the NBC game Season 3 Survivor Tournament and the Club Day Online NBC game StarCraft League. Pretty cool. Now let's get back to what this madness is right here, because 9 pull speed. Now, I actually shouldn't be using my mouse. For a second there, I thought I had control of the game, and I was going to be able to move around with my cursor here, so I'm a little bit sad. And so this is going to be 12 pull into hatchery, and then on the other hand, we're going to have this 9 pull speed coming in here. So By Hero is going to have a lot to deal with here. Wow, are you guys watching this? The camera has gotten absolutely crazy. So Lings and a few drones are going to be coming out here, and Larva really wants this additional hatchery to finish up so he can produce more Lings out of it. And it looks like he's probably going to end up having to cancel it no matter what. 9 pull speed, this is really just one of those build order losses. And unfortunately, that's something that can happen in ZVZ. Now, there's a decent amount of Lings at the top still, but that speed upgrade is pretty significant. And if By Hero can get a few more Lings added into the mix here, then he could have a huge advantage. Meanwhile, Spire is on its way too, and Spire is much delayed. much delayed compared to By Hero, who was able to get speed, but also to go for Spire. Oh man, these Lings are going to get killed off here. And now he does have the Zerglings moving in, going to be able to attack his opponent. There's no more to defense with here. Not a single sunken colony. It's like Larva's hindsight here. He did not think once that maybe I was going to fail with my micro and need to build some static defenses. Having to cancel that Spire that would have gone down pretty quickly now. Mutas are going to be across the map very shortly, and this is just a clinical disaster of the SKT Zerg losing to the STX Zerg. And GG is called. And guys, that was a 4-minute and 40-second game before he called GG. Super quick. That's got to be one of the fastest. Now, if I'm not mistaken, now we're not counting this in the Book of Records, but let's go to the Book of Records. Here we are on Team Liquid. Oh. Done. And let's look at the fastest Zerg. Fastest wins, ZVZ. 3 minutes and 22 seconds. So we were 1 minute and 20 seconds away. That's J-Dong versus Calm, if you guys did not know. Just Google Book of Records Team Liquid, and you will be able to find the page that I'm looking at too. If you want some great Brood War, that's definitely an exciting place to go to here. Now, I don't have anything planned beyond this, the next 47 minutes, 46 minutes now that I have with you guys. We can definitely choose some more replays to get casted if you guys want to listen to more casting, or we could try doing some community StarCraft. If you guys are here to play some Brood War, then let me know and let's get some Brood War going. Either way, it's up to you guys. I'm taking my water break, and whatever happens next in the next few minutes from you guys in the chat is what I'm going to choose to go with. So I will be right back. Alright, I'm back, everybody, and frankly, you guys have let me down a little bit because no one made a single decision on whether I should cast more or we should play some community StarCraft. So, you all will be punished with greatness. I will be only casting Bisu games the rest of the hour. And you will all have to deal with it. But we could do Bisu versus Killer. He's playing tomorrow. That could hype things up a little bit. Let's see. What is the best possible?
아 진짜 이거 보자는 분들도 있었잖아. 아 이거 좀 보고 이거만 보고 하자. 아 좀만 이거 보면서 쉴게요. 저 너무 힘들어가지고 계속 여러분들이 막 스폰 그거 게임 해라 해가지고 쉴 틈이 없네. 잠시만요. 음료수 좀 가져올게. 목말라가지고.
Alright, well, it looks like this is going to be Bisu versus Killer. The one thing I'm not sure of is how this is casted from a replay. I'm a little confused here. This is still fastest times 2 here. You know what? This is pretty high quality, which is the reason why I like this, and it's pretty cool here.
나 이거 짜증나 죽겠어.
But you know what? Okay, we want to watch the first person VOD. Here, let's go with that. Looks like things are mostly on the screen. Let's pause things right here. And let's select the region. Bring that up, bring that down a little bit. Ah, perfect. Oh, just a little bit too much, I think. We shall see. Alright, guys, we are watching Bisu versus Killer. It looks like the score is 1-1 Bisu with a kill and Killer with a kill himself. Bisu will be spawning at the bottom right-hand corner. This is going to be on the map Fighting Spirit. And this was not just a recommended game, but a starred game also. And watching through the first person view, this is going to be even more exciting. So I'm glad you guys are here today. We are celebrating the hype of the Starleague, LoveTV's second Starleague, to be honest. And the full name is the second LoveTV BJ Starleague. And let me tell you, guys, one thing happened. I told my girlfriend the name of that league, and it was jaw-dropping. For anybody who doesn't know what is going on, and they hear LoveTV BJ, I had to explain what a BJ was. And that even comes out wrong. So, it's not the funnest phrase, but as Koreans do a lot of things, they make it difficult on Americans to cast their stuff and talk about their culture sometimes. You know, especially with the metro sort of you know, the metrosexual look. Let's just call it that a lot of guys are going for lately. You know, when you look at bands like Shiny that dress in very feminine outfits, you get a different taste of culture that you didn't quite expect from the Asian side of the spectrum over at that hemisphere. But you know, not every guy in Korea is gay, but they still dress in that sort of feminine type manner. So let's get back to the game here. We're looking at Bisu, who's going to be going for that Forge Expand. Looks like his Nexus is going to be coming up pretty soon here. Trying to stop that hatchery, but it seems like it didn't work. And he's just going to go ahead and send one of those Gosu probes up inside the base of Killer. So now Killer, he's sitting on 2 bases. You can gather that information. And watching this first-person view just wants to like bring the speedcaster out of me that I've been trying to get further away from. I don't know if you guys have been listening to me too often since the beginning of time, but when I first started casting Brood War, I didn't know too much as far as like trying to call things out and explain it to people. So I did a lot more of just talking as fast as I could about what I saw on the screen to make things interesting and allow my ADD to also just kind of like integrate with it. So that way I would say random things to entertain the viewer while talking at the same time. But now I try and make it another attempt to slow things down, talk about what you can actually gain and understand from the game. But of course, with my coffee and the constant APM from Bisu, I can only think that my words are going to speed up throughout this cast. But those Lings, they got taken apart pretty easily. 2 will make it inside of that main base. That's not going to be a huge deal. We know that Bai Hero, who played against Bisu in the Sonic Starleague 9, did a great job of getting Lings in against Bisu. And 3 out of the 5 games, it was absolutely horrible to watch as a Bisu fan and a Protest fan in general, to see the defensive Lings just to get absolutely butchered. And even what was that? Was that a cannon that went down at the front there too? But the reinforcing cannon at the natural is still alive, so it's going to be pretty good for Bisu. He has to make sure that he keeps that probe alive if he wants to continue to scout out and understand his opponent. Meanwhile, we're seeing that constant probe production from both the main and the natural is going to let him continue to strive forward in the greatness of economy. These probes are losing a lot of mining time here, and obviously that's pretty annoying. But Bisu at the same time is still able to continue his build order. He still hasn't lost a probe, and doing a great job here. He could almost pick off those Lings, but now finally a Zealot is going to come over to chase them, and that Stargate coming up at that location. Oh, a probe does get lost here. One of the Lings finally going down, and a great job by Killer so far to pick off a probe. That's a very tense situation for Bisu to be in right now. And one of his Lings at the top left-hand corner, or one of his probes at the top left-hand corner that was scouting, is going to get attacked by a Ling, and just barely escaping. Bisu's just so great at multitasking right now. You can see that he's on so many locations, and he's telling everything where it needs to go, just so quickly now. This decision making is just completely outrageous. The Stargate is going to be finishing up soon, and now that signature Sair play that Bisu has come with is going to be on the way. +1 Sair, I like that too. That's a pretty exciting way to go, to have the +1 attack on those air units. Makes the Overlords die just that much quicker, and it's really what forces Zergs to have to get that +1 carapace. So the Zealot is coming in to the the 3rd base now. And so 3rd base is up for Killer at that natural of the top location. And that Zealot does get picked off. The Lings were in there. And hello, Stardom. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. And I asked a little bit earlier if people wanted to play some Brood War or if they wanted to listen to me cast. And it didn't go either way. So I am punishing the viewers by watching some Bisu. Which is great for me. I have absolutely no problem. I haven't seen this one. I've been wanting to get to it. And now I'm going to get through the starred Bisu games that I've always needed to go through. And guess what's better? I get to force everybody to enjoy it with me. So there's an Overlord that's getting pushed away with that +1 Sair. And, well, the +1 isn't finished up yet, but it should. The +1 attack is pretty quick. The upgrade doesn't take that long. It's once you get to the tier 2 and 3 upgrades that it takes just double and triple the time to get that upgrade finished. Getting +3 on a Corsair, imagine how quickly you would tear through Overlords. So some casting, then later some games. What are you talking about here? Are you saying that I should still get people to play Community Brood War? Because we only got 30 minutes left. No point. We're just gonna go straight through casting here. And Franz Bundy, hello, welcome and thank you. I'm glad you prefer my casting here. So these stairs are just growing in number. What I like to see earlier when we were watching Snow. Wait, it wasn't Snow. It was Minnie who went for the double Stargate, and he was getting those Corsairs out. But the problem is he did not take care of getting the upgrade for his Zealots, the speed upgrade, and the proper defenses to deal with the 5-hatch Hydra bust that Zero went for. If you guys referenced that earlier in the cast. Now the problem is, and what I want to state here, I really love 2 Stargate play. It's very aggressive. But imagine if you save the gas that you're getting from Corsairs and that you spend on the Stargate. If you put that into getting your Citadel of Adun quicker and then getting that speed upgrade, the leg enhancements, then you're absolutely prepared for that early aggression. So the trade-off isn't there, especially if you're hiding Corsairs to have a surprise amount of aggression. So I think Stargate is not something that you can blindly go for and say, "Hey, this is going to be my tech. This is going to be my tech decision, no matter what, going into this game." You really absolutely have to make a decision on the fly whether Stargate is appropriate, or if your opponent is going to be going for that 5 or 6 hatch play. Because right now we're looking at 8.5 minutes into the game, and Bisu knows that that this is not going to be 5 hatch. 5 hatch, the 5 hatch hit mark it's 6.5 minutes. It's pretty easy, and 6 hatch is going to be closer to that 8-minute mark if you're going to be completely aggressive here. But now there's this opportunity. Bisu knows that he can push out because the 6 hatch timing wasn't there, and with the Templar Archives already finished up, he's going to have that Storm tech available, and the third is going to be that much easier to take. A lot of Corsairs though, and Killer has realized that taking down this Corsair count is pretty important. Only picking up one, a few more connections would have made those Scourge worth it, even if he took out half the health. That would have made that investment. While it's only 25 gas per Scourge, if you build 6 of them, just think that's 300 gas, or not 300 gas. That's going to be a quarter of that. So, 200 gas. It's still significant. And look at that, he's going in with another attack again. And Bisu's just reacting so perfectly. While Lings do flood up into that third base, the cannons are not quite finished up, but there are going to be Zealots here. The thing is that the cannons have to choose. Are they going to go after the Scourge and help the Corsairs survive, but at the risk of losing that third base? Or are they going to focus down those Zerglings and help the battle on the ground? Which I think attacking on the ground was the right choice, because the Corsairs for the most part can continue to run. There's other cannons to run to shelter to. So a great job by Bisu to be able to deal with that Ling attack. Meanwhile, he's going for that +1. He's going to be upgrading the range on his Dragoons. And while getting range is an important upgrade, especially if Bisu senses lurkers, there's so many Lings on the map that Dragoons just shouldn't be built at this time. All that extra gas should be invested into High Templar. And Bisu is definitely gonna have to be aware of making the right choice here. It looks like he's continuing to build Zealots though, realizing that it is Lings. So one of the ZVP masters of the world, playing everything perfectly so far. The gas, it is going to be mining here, and it looked like there was only 1 or 2 probes mining from his gas inside of his main. And I wonder if Bisu's aware that he might not have the optimal mining of Vespene gas at one of his assimilators. Now, the Lings are trying to apply pressure at that third base, and Bisu, he's dealing with it pretty well here. And in fact, I didn't see the Storm. I may have been looking away at the time, but the Archon is definitely a nice choice to deal with Lings anyway. With that AoE attack, the lightning from the fingers, kind of like the Great Lord, what is it? The Sith Lord, the Emperor from Star Wars. It's just like Archons kind of have that similar attack, I guess. So let me see. From Preach here, I often see pros with game duration in their streams, but many others don't. Do they just rely on Windows Clock, or is there an easier method? I have no idea how people are are doing their clock method in Korea, but if you play with the MCA 64 launcher, that alone provides you with a nicer interface with time, and if you're watching replays, it shows you the stats among the players when you click between the two units here, two players that are playing. So the MCA 64 launcher is something that you might want to look into. Now the Lynx do bust in here and take down the cannons. They look like they have the crackling pace attack and are trying to move up the ramp too. A bulky Dragoon to stop it, but it does end up getting microed back, and these Dragoons are trying to deal with the Lynx. But the problem, like I said earlier, is that Lynx in the right amount of number will be able to deal with the Lurker, will be able to deal with the Dragoons. But Dragoons are also very important to deal with Lurkers. Now, Bisu sensed that Lurker tech was going to happen, that switch was going to be something that he was going to have to deal with, and apparently there is a notification at the bottom from Snipelot. If you guys don't know who Snipelot is, go to Team Liquid's featured streams and you can see all sorts of talented players on there. So more Corsairs are coming out, and this is the best thing. If you guys think about any race, you absolutely focus on constant worker production to a certain point in the game. Now, the same way that Bisu concentrates on constantly macroing probes, he also is constantly macroing Corsairs. He doesn't miss a beat. It's like he's treating them like workers, like always constantly having one at a time come out of it. Just like a Nexus can only provide one worker at a time. And that alone is helping him maintain that air superiority and is giving Killer quite some trouble. Now the Dragoons are trying to bust down this natural. Then there's two Sunkens behind the front wall of buildings. Meanwhile, the storms are getting worn down here, and the Lurkers are pushing in. So the Zealots are trying to take out this base. They managed to get past that first hole, and if the Sunkens do fall down, it's going to be significantly harder to take out Bisu's units. And look how long he's actually away from his attacking army here. So he actually moved them into the main base, just let the rest of his units die, and stop microing that battle. Taking out the Spire, that's going to be huge now, because he's continuing to build those Corsairs and hiding them inside of his base. It's going to allow him to come out and deal with killing off Overlords, make DTs that much more difficult to deal with. And Killer's going to be in a tight position here once he realizes how much air is actually going to be coming at him. Hydralisks are going to be really important at this time, located nicely in all his bases to be able to deal with the Corsairs as they attack. Now Zealots are pushing around the map to try and find the right places to defend, as Bisu will need to take that fourth base at the 3 o'clock position. The main and the natural are going to be running low on minerals, and once you deplete of those gases at the two primary assimilators that you start off with, you definitely have to get a second a new assimilator mixed in at that fourth base, so you can maintain a potent army and continue to produce High Templar that are so gas heavy and be able to storm your opponent. So Bisu is going to be building that as extra assimilator here, and now you have the militia of 6 Corsairs. They're going on the offensive now, and Overlords are just going to be constantly panicking. This is like a balloon's worst nightmare. They like fly into a room, but they're full of helium, yet there's needles covering the ceiling. Remove. Now the Dragoons and the Zealots are going to be moving out from that main base. Looks like Bisu has locked down that fourth location, but he is multitasking like crazy. Like I said earlier though, Killer, he's going to have to respond with Hydralisks, and Hydralisks are not the ideal unit that you want to build. While they can defend against the Corsairs, you can't win with Hydras at this point. They're going to die to Storm. They're going to die to Dragoons. They're not a superior unit. You can only use them for morphing Lurkers. And, Lurkers may not be the best item either. It's just a lot of gas being wasted without being able to build the proper composition. Now, if he had the gas and Killer can build more Defilers, then Dark Swarm, Plague can play into him a lot easier, and this Hive Tech style Zerg will be much more efficient against Bisu's aggression. So he is pushing out again. It looks like that giant Protoss death ball is going to be camping right outside that natural base. And are these lurkers going to fall very easily? Meanwhile, of course, Sarah's attacking at the top again. And the split control by Killer. It's been pretty decent so far. He's hung in here at this time, but here comes the giant storm drops ready to go. The shuttle is almost there, and hopefully Bisu will grace us with enough time to see whether the storms kill off anything. Oh, but they're 2 DTs. They're not High Templar. I called that wrong, and it looks like there's not very many drones inside of that base, that main 11 o'clock base anyway. And guys, we are on Fighting Spirit. This is Bisu versus Killer. We're watching the first-person view of him. Looking at the upgrade count would be pretty interesting here. It looked like no upgrades. That's got to be wrong. The probe said 0 upgrades. Okay, so no armor, no plasma shields. I'm pretty sure no +1. That's very odd to get this far in the game without those. Without even an attack upgrade. But Bisu obviously constantly producing, making the most out of what he has. And now the Dragoons are pushing out here, and he can actually pick up that Defiler that's out at the front. I like seeing people take their, whether it's High Templar, Defiler, or we don't really see it from Science Vessel, just throwing their units that don't have any spells left to the front to try and soak good damage, because they can't do anything else but help keep other units alive. But Bisu's macro is just quite insane here. It looks like he's going to be able to take the victory in this game as the natural does begin to fall here. Hydra's coming in from the background, finally streaming over from what was that top base over at the 10 o'clock. But the problem is, like I said earlier, the Hydras are just going to be too futile. Unupgraded Archons will just tear them apart. And eventually that army does die. I think another base is coming up for Bisu too, so he's going to have a 5th. And there are no lings available for Killer to start denying that 5th base. And eventually this is going to be a GG. So very well done by Bisu, as we see a great finishing to that. Alright, let me find another game for you guys, and that will be the last one of the night, so prepare yourselves for another epic game to be cast. If you have a player that you want their game casted, you have 30 seconds. Alright guys, let's see. Preach is requesting a TVZ, and guess what? I am in a good mood. I have exactly the perfect, I think I have the perfect game for you guys. Just give me a second here and I will find it. A TVZ. Oh, okay. I can't find you the game I was looking for because I read that TVZ as TVP. I was going to cast the Flash versus Bisu game where Bisu plays Terran and Flash plays Protoss. But we're going to save that for another day. Let's find a TVZ. I know exactly the one I want. So here, let's look for this player here. Trust me, this will be fun. If I choose the right game. And these players have played a ton. But I know... No, we haven't seen either of the two in a long time. In fact, one of them I'm pretty sure has disappeared off the face of the earth. So you guys can tell me if you know what he's doing, because I do not. And I don't know if I have this person as a friend on Facebook. I'm going to have to look for them. Okay, so let's see. Which one should we go with? The OSL? The SWL? All right. These guys are famous for the rivalry, and in fact, this player has 14 wins and 8 losses. A total of 22 games have been played amongst these two players. And we're going to go back to 2009. And let's see if the VOD will work here. No, we don't want that one. Let's see. On match point. That's definitely a possibility here. Match point. Oh my god, that's a 45-minute game. Can't do that one. Guys, I'm trying to find a game that's within the time limit too. Let's see. That was a loss. That was a win. Man, all these games are good. I know you guys are just eager to find out who I'm talking about. If you can guess, a famous TVZ combination here. Who has 22 games played amongst each other? Let's see. But all the games are over 20 minutes. We need short. Wow, that's a 23-minute game. Let's go to the big file MSL. See what we get here. That's a 20-minute game. Let's play some music real quick. Alright guys, let's go into the last game of the night. And this is going to be Fantasy versus Calm, a TVZ among TVZs. We can't go into the long epic ones, but maybe we'll do that next week because I feel like next week shall be a nostalgic week. So for you guys, we are... Oh, Firebat here versus Sue. Let's see what other people say. C versus Zerg. 2-port Wraith game. Lita, Light, Fantasy. Alright, well this is Fantasy versus Calm. Big file MSL. Boom, here we go. Oh man, look at that. Look at that intro. That is cool. Look at the front of that one. I think Flash and J-Dong got a lot of FaceTime on that. Oh, and here we go into the big file MSL Fantasy versus Calm. We are in 2010, and it is going to be August 5th. The map Fighting Spirit, alive and well back in 2010 too. We are inside of the Hero Center live, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today. I am your caster, BC Dagger, on the mic alone today. Unfortunately, my co-casters will not be available. I'm sitting inside the booth looking at all the fans, and they are looking a little bit hot and sweaty. The air conditioning went off for quite a little bit earlier today, but it's okay. It's kicked back on, and people are ready, awake, and excited to watch this game. Now, I think that Fantasy is going to have a great game today. He's an exceptional Terran player, and while his TVZ is very volatile, we're going against Calm, who AKA is the Clam Zerg, which not just because his hands may get clammy while he is inside of the booth, but because he just clams things up during the middle of a great game. He just gets all clammy and things get ruined. So as we just do a little bit shout out to our sponsors, the Circle slash company is the sponsor here for us today, and no one knows what that translates to because it's ancient Mayan language. And now we're gonna have STX Calm over in the left hand side of the booth. STX is a team that's kind of in the middle of the Pro League rankings, never quite rising to the top every year, and probably 2010 will be disappointed again. Now, he's getting ready to put on his soundproofing headphones, doesn't want to hear all those fangirls pierce into it, and look at that, he says he is master of the brain. So Brain Zerg alive and well. Now, what are we going to see from Fantasy? What kind of style is he sporting? And what SKT jersey was active at this time? Probably something red. Could be orange. Could be orange. Just like an orange red. There we go. And look at that Fantasy, who has a 24-18 record right now. He is SKT's very own, the ace, the Terran ace in 2010. He is the leading player because there is a slumping opportunity for Bisu right now, and he just doesn't want to win games in 2010. So it seems that Fantasy is going to be the one to carry the team. But this is not Pro League. This is not Team League. We are watching individual league right now. And look at those stats, kind of showing things on either side here. Versus Terran, versus Zerg, versus Protoss. Everything favors Fantasy except for the all column. How does that make sense? I do not know. No one can tell. These are fairy tales, stats made up by the Korean developers here because they want to just overshine Calm in a matchup where Fantasy has the winning record against him. And here the game is going to be out of the way. The countdown has started. And the fangirls in the background, I'm not sure if you can hear them, but the A are going wild. I heard that one of them actually brought a pair of underwear to get signed by Fantasy. I mean, that is crazy. I'm not sure if Fantasy is going to sign them, but the fangirls will be lining up afterward to get things signed by the players. They absolutely want to get some FaceTime in there, some handshakes, knowing that they're going to be a star, especially since you guys know that Fantasy is destined to be a Kong, and all the Kongs get the women. If you guys haven't realized that, just go to Team Liquid. Kongs do get the women. Seen Yellow just in his jazzy stealth with all the ladies about him too. Now, there is an Overlord being sent to the right side of the map. It looks like he is just going to be doing that counterclockwise searching. Maybe not sending that Overlord diagonally. So, Calm spawning at the top left, and Fantasy spawning at the top right. And look at those crazy lips. KCM standing for, I do not know. I can't even think of an acronym for KCM. That's straight up love. I'm sure that she wants him to find on Facebook or Match.com. And on Match.com, I heard that the majority of Korean girls are putting that they are StarCraft fans, so that way they could get the best looking Korean gentleman in the country. So it looks like the drone is going to be coming out for Calm, and I'm pretty sure that was a over or 12 hatch, because it looks like another hatchery is floating its way across the map. And now a drone, which will be most likely scouting But is it going to go to that bottom left location? Going to go over to that 7? Take a little bit longer to figure out where the Terran opponent is. But the SCV is just going to miss it. If you look on the mini-map, oh, but they're both scouting to the same location. And that's going to give away the location of Fantasy. But he does have a barracks coming up inside his base. We're 6.5 minutes into this cast so far today, guys. But the game only 2.5 minutes underway, as an SCV is making its way towards the natural base of Calm, where just a hatchery is on its way. And guys, yes, you did hear me right. The best men in Korea are StarCraft players. That's where the looks come from. The better you are, the better looking you become. Even Stork, who started off butt ugly, is now a very decent looking gentleman. Be it makeup, or plastic surgery, or pure grace of God, he has quite improved. Not just his StarCraft game, but his looks. So looking inside this build here, it's going to be a 2 racks and a really fast refinery too. So it's going to be a very aggressive build. In fact, this is possibly going to turn into a bunker rush. Now, is that SCV over there like pretending to mine, or is anything going to come into fruition over here? This is going to be an aggressive build. The Marines are on their way though. I don't see an SCV quite yet with the Marines, but they are growing, and now the extractor has finished up, but that extractor most likely mining gas, so the lair can come up much quicker here. And there's an SCV inside the main base. It's got to stay alive. That's going to significantly help out Fantasy's attack here as he decides to stay aggressive. And no, choosing not to build a sunken colony. This is going to be horrible for Calm. He doesn't have any static defenses. He needs to absolutely figure out what is going on here. One of the SCV might die though, and that's going to be okay for Fantasy, who just continues to grow his army. He's already at the 6 Marines, another 4 up that ramp, so 10 in total. This is going to be catastrophic for Calm if he has to go into the beginning of this MSL series down 1-0. This is definitely not something he wants to deal with. 2 medics are going to be out on the way. Behind this, Stim is being researched, and Stim might finish up by the time those Marines are going to make it across the map. Now we're looking at the vision of Calm, and inside this vision, he can't see anything on the map. So this is going to be a great job for Fantasy as he's getting ready to bring them up towards the top. The map's not that long, and now the Ling is going to be able to see it. Calm, he's got to react right now. Everything that he's got has to go into these ground forces. He's going to need several more sunken colonies. The intensity is just getting out of control here. You can see people's faces are just in shock as their favorite Zerg player might end up losing just the first game, and this could be catastrophic. 3 sunken colonies are down. The Stim on the Marines, the medics are going to have their work cut out for them as they finally get there to start healing up their buddies at the front. This is going to be a masquerade party later on as they will just trounce all over this creep, and it looks like Calm is going to have to GG. That is going to be the end of game number 1 and the big file MSL between Fantasy and Calm. Master of the brain? I think not. Overthinking this problem, not scouting properly. Fantasy coming out with a great first build here. And look at that. Signing one of these shirts, and most definitely going to be throwing that into the crowd. What a great job by Fantasy. Very strong play. You know, hiding those 2 racks, and and Calm was just not able to stay in there. And look at that. He actually is rubbing the shirt on his face because he wants every single bit of what Fantasy touched to just flower his face, just shower all over it, just gain the warmth while the shirt is still warm from that beautiful touch of the Fantasy Terran. So that is the winner of game number 1. Thank you for guys watching, and stay tuned as there will be a game number 2, game number 3, and if Calm can win any of them, a game 4 and 5. Alright guys, I tried to cast that as if I was there. I don't know if it brought you back into the atmosphere, but I was just pretending I was alone inside the studio, and it was really cool scenario for me to put myself in. So what does this say? Guys, can we discuss something regarding the state of Pro League? Sure, absolutely. ask me any question, or are you just asking in general what is going on with Pro League? Because right now, let's go to the Team Liquid page here on the front. We have several things going up. Look, there's this second Love TV Grand Final preview written by yours truly here. Oh, you can't see. Let's adjust this real quick. Select region. I'm going to need that to there. I have something to share with you guys. Okay. Position, size, fit the screen. Alright, now look at this. There's this great write-up here. And down at the bottom is staff predictions. Now, I want you to read Hayoka's, or how do you say it? Hayoka? I don't know. I've never had to say it out loud. Now, he says, I vote Killer because the last time a Zerg beat Jaedong in a best of 5, he went on to win the MSL in his EVZ Finals 2. What the fuck do we do if Modesty wins a Starleague? Everything we know, all we've written, all the arguments we have about StarCraft being the truest the sports, the most manly competition, where those who prove unworthy falter and crumble under pleasure, it's all moot. It means nothing if Modesty is awarded a Starleague trophy. I'm bunkering the fuck up if he wins, because it is surely a sign of a coming apocalypse. So if you want to know more about those interviews, read this thread here. That's what's going on. That doesn't answer your question about Pro League, but let me keep talking now. There's this Sonic S-Benue All-Stars tournament. And so the Sonic tournament now, there is no Pro League, but yes, we have Zerg's Hero, Larva, Killer, Quanro, Zero, Modesty, Terror. Terrans, Haya, Mong, Mind, Piano, Sack, and Protoss, Shuttle, Movie, Free, Lazy. In this group stage, starting tomorrow, same time of the finals, but trust me, watch the finals first, catch up on Group A, and watch Group B, C, and D over the next few days following. You're going to have a great group, though, to catch up on. Lazy, Haya, Terran, Shuttle. It's going to be quite exciting. I like Terran as a Zerg player.